Hello everyone and welcome to another figure study where we appreciate the form in Transformers, and today we're going back to the third party well with MakeToys Cupola, I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna go with Cupola for now and hope I don't forget, just because fewer people seem to have called it that in previous videos. We'll see. Anyway, here we go. This guy has been on my list, not my, not so much my video list, but just my general I want it badly list for probably about a year or so, since I first really started getting back into all the figure collecting. And yeah, he is freaking awesome. Now, I was actually a big fan of MakeToys before this. I got my hands on, now the name escapes me, Quantron. That was it, Quantron. Got my hands on Quantron, and that kind of just cemented my my enjoyment of MakeToys work. And you know, I am a fan of Chrome Dome as far as the original toy goes, and so, you know, masterpiece scale Chrome Dome, yeah, sure, why not? So here we have Cupola, and he looks like a futuristic hatchback from the 70s, which is kind of the point. he's, I mean, you know, granted, I don't have the original toy on hand, but from what I can remember, all like the color distribution stuff is pretty much on point. He's an interesting combination of colors, like this really rich dark brown and then this lighter kind of beige. It's odd, but it kind of works. And then you've got just little splashes of red along the top here, which also look pretty nice. I'm not, like, I absolutely appreciate the inclusion of the chrome gold shiny wheel things, but I feel like the gold kind of contrasts a little bit. Like, it doesn't contrast, it just kind of doesn't really work as well with the overall color scheme. It just seems a little out of place. But I will say I like that the you know, it has actual rubber tires. Very cool. And there you can see robot legs, but you know, he tucks away really well. Yeah, as for the actual detail, this is something that I've always appreciated with MakeToys stuff. The fact that they usually don't do much in the way of paint. Most of the time when they do any paint, it's like just very small little details, like you've got this bit here, and of course the lights on the front and details on the hood. But like, for the most part, that's it for the paint in the vehicle mode. Like, there's, you know, yeah, you've got like this clear piece that's been painted and actually matches the shades of everything really well, but overall, I always thought it was interesting how MakeToys doesn't really do a whole lot of paint, but they honestly don't really need to, because they use a decent variation of colored plastics, and of course they mold tons of details into everything. Like, you've just got so many interesting panel lines going along here, some of which kind of homage the original, some of which are all new. Like, just like these little bits here, they don't really seem to serve a purpose, but they just add a little bit more visual interest to what would otherwise have been just kind of a stark thing. And then you've got this, not sure quite what it is. Maybe it's an exhaust, or a, not exhaust, but like an air scoop or something like that. Like these pipes and stuff. I don't know what it's for functionally, but it makes for an interesting, interesting shape. And, you know, all these details along here. Again, you've got like very simple details, but they just kind of break up what could have otherwise been kind of a monotonous shape. And like here, you've got almost like this weird like little venting thing that isn't quite, that's not lined up properly. I think this may have gotten nudged in a little bit when I was transforming him into vehicle mode. But anyway, you know, you've got this like little venting here that just, like, it could have just been a straight brown hood, but they dress everything up so nicely with all these little bits of detail. I can absolutely appreciate that, and a surprising amount of this detail you don't even really see in robot mode. which is very cool. And of course, because he is Chrome Dome, he does have his little headmaster. And I love how there's even like this little bit of detail on the car console here, and they actually did paint a little bit of it, which is really nice. We'll get this little guy out of the way so we can look at the rest of the interior here. I have to say I really appreciate this interior too. How they have the kind of difficult to tell, but like they have the molded steering wheel and angle it around this way. And like they actually have a little bit of a console there. And they're rough, but actual seats. That is that is kind of adorable. So yeah, his vehicle mode is very cool. Now, I'm going to move on to the little headmaster dude real quick. And, you know, he's a headmaster. He's not... Oh, jeez, the joints on his knees are super tight. He's a headmaster. He's not going to be like, you know, super anything. But I got to say, I'm impressed with what they did with him. There's, you know, decent amount of color on him. Just color variation, I should say. Like, you've got the light gray, the dark gray, and, of course, the very red legs. But, like, they added just a little bit of color there. You've got, you know, the little... Is that too close? I think that's too close. There we go. You got, like, the nicely detailed little head, a little bit of paint there. He's just very, very nicely done. And again, it's, you know, it's MakeToys, so it's not a ton of paint, but there's a nice amount of detail that breaks everything up. And this was something that, when I saw in the videos, I thought was really great, how the face kind of collapses in a little bit when he's in robot mode, so it doesn't entirely look like he has a face on his back. So yeah, this guy is pretty cool. Surprisingly posable for such a little guy, too. He can kind of, you know, he can do stuff. He can actually do stuff. Anyway, let's move on to robot mode, and this is, yeah, this transformation is going to be interesting. Anyway, be right back. There we go, he got bigger. So, Cupola in his robot mode, and okay, first off, wow, that transformation. I mean, you know, not the focus here, but yee, I totally appreciate just how much that car expands and like recontracts things and just shifts everything around to make this magnificent looking thing. But wow, not the most complicated transformation in the world, I know, but it is a thing. Anyway, Cupola in his robot mode, and you know, it's basically Masterpiece G1 Chrome Dome. He is kind of amazing. I mean, you know, same colors, you got the same beige, you got the same brown, you got the same red, it's just distributed a little differently. Definitely a lot more brown in robot mode than you see in vehicle mode, just proportionally. But it works. The the overall look is a little interesting because you've got just like the legs and torso section in that color, and then the arms and the feet that beige color, so it almost looks like he's either wearing gauntlets, or not gauntlets, but like arm covers that go up to his shoulders and boots, or he's got like a weird sleeveless jumpsuit on and bare feet. A little odd, but you know, it's G1, you know, they're trying to match more or less the color distribution of the G1 toy as far as I can recall, so good for them. But yeah, looks good. There's overall not a lot of detail in here that wasn't already in the vehicle. At least from the top section, you've got like that chest that cleverly actually contracts a little bit to just bring it in a little bit more. And this is something I didn't mention before in vehicle mode, but this panel here, I can't not see that as a skull. And now you can't either. But no, it's I don't know how accurate that is to the toy, but it's just kind of funny to me. Like he's, you get rid of his head and he still kind of has a face. Kind of an angry, skullish face. Speaking of his head, put his headless body off to the side there for a moment. The head looks very nice. Looks very chrome dome. And again, MakeToys, they rely more on sculpting than they do paint. But the paint that they have is very nice. It's just it's a nice blue for the eyes. Very vibrant. It's kind of hidden a little bit underneath this very large visor, but it's actually a very nice blue. It almost rivals MP10, the Toys R Us Masterpiece Optimus Prime's eyes as far as like vibrancy and just bringing life to the head goes. And I really like that orange for the visor as well. And you can see it's actually got some pretty clean paint. Like it actually just kind of goes like right around his nose there, and it looks nice. And I like that the back of the Headmaster head is kind of filled in a little bit, so it's not just like either empty or stark. Yeah, he looks good. He looks really good. And of course, there's his face. So, plug his head back in there and bring him back around. So yeah, the torso looks really nice. The arms, these are mostly hidden in the vehicle, but they've got the telltale little peaks to them. And actually some nice little details on the arms. You've got this like these vents at the top here of the shoulder. You've got just a little bit of paint there to just add a tiny bit of more interest and detail to the shoulder, which actually works really, really well. And then, of course, more molded details along the way. Got some nice molding on the elbows there. Some nice just mechanical detail, which looks really cool. And, of course, the forearms. Also, lots of nice little molding. And the hands, which are, they're hands. They look okay. And they do have that really nice channel that a lot of people have talked about where the guns just slot right in and he holds his guns really, really well, which is nice. And moving down to the unmentionables, we've got, again, not a lot of paint. There's just like this little gray stripe, but it actually breaks up that red really nicely. And also some very nice just detail going down through here. This thing, a little bit loose. A lot of bit loose, but what are you going to do? And again, it always amazes me how much MakeToys can get away with, like, not adding a ton of paint, but just lots of little intricate details that add a lot more interest to the figure. Then you've got the heavy-duty metal knees, which even have a little bit of like venting mechanical detail in them, which is just awesome. I mean, come on, they didn't have to do that, but they totally did, and it's great. I need to bend his knees a little bit. And the shins even look great. Just like a little bit of paint, but it's all mostly just detail. And all this stuff is like, you don't see any of this in vehicle mode. It's just for when he's in robot mode, and you can see like the sides of his feet. And of course, you do have the rest of the back of the vehicle mode, which collapses in and actually makes for some decent feet for him. It's all very, very incredibly well done. And then the backs, you've got that fun piping detail at the side of the car that makes up the back of his cabs, which breaks up it's weird a little bit for the color if you're looking at him from the back, but honestly, who's going to be looking at him from the back? But even so, even though you're probably not going to be looking at him from the back, there's actually a fair bit of molded detail back here as well, and even these nice little light gray mechanical bits. And again, it's like, who's going to be displaying their figure like this? They really didn't have to put that detail in there, but it's really awesome that they did. And then, of course, you got the car visor, which I think it's great how this section here all just kind of compacts in and folds up and hides away. And it fills out the torso, so it's actually not hollow, but these almost make some like cool little shoulder blade looking elements. It's a very clever transformation. It's just super time consuming and intricate. But yeah, he is quite the impressive looking masterpiece masterpiece scale headmaster. And yeah, I mean, Cupola was on my desperately wanted list for good reason, and I am super happy I was finally able to get him because he is so cool. And again, I love how MakeToys was able to do so much with just the tiny little molded details that just, like, even at a distance, you still see like the big blocks of color, but even at this distance, you can still, you can still see that there's like all these little elements that you may not necessarily be able to see in fine detail, but like it just adds more texture to the figure. It looks fantastic. And he is just he is great. He is just great. I don't know what else I could say. I always thought the original toy was really cool, and this is like they basically tapped into that nostalgia part of my brain and were like, hey, remember how awesome you thought that toy was? Well, we're basically making a toy that's sort of like how you remember the original one. Only, actually that way. It's kind of amazing. So yeah, this well worth it. Well worth doing. I'm actually kind of disappointed that MakeToys hasn't done more Headmasters. I mean, I know they did one for Hardhead. I forget what his MakeToys name is, but it'd be really like I would love to see MakeToys take on Brainstorm, because Brainstorm was always like my favorite Headmaster. I mean, I really like Chrome Dome / Cupola, but I don't know, like Brainstorm was the one that I actually owned, so of course that's the one that I was like, yeah, that's my favorite. So it would be fantastic if MakeToys ever did that. That'd be like just okay, day one pre-order, I'm good. Anyway, oh, almost forgot to show this off. That is just terrible of me. So yeah, this panel here, you can totally flip it down, and then you have even more molded detail, as well as the sort of mock tech specs from the Headmasters like they used to do, and that is just fantastic. And even on the inside of the panel, it's like a completely different set of molded details. MakeToys is great with that kind of stuff. I do love it. And I love how they can do sort of like their own original takes on different characters, like I was talking about with Guardia and all of the team that make up Guardia. But like even just like the little tweaks they can make to a character that's meant to evoke the the original character more, and not like so much a we're doing our own take thing. It's just amazing how much they can kind of still bring to it just on their own. Anyway, I've been rambling long enough. Thank you everybody for watching. That has been my look at MakeToys Cupola. He is fantastic and surprisingly big. He basically stands head to head with Masterpiece Optimus Prime. Anyway, thank you for watching. As per usual, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Any combination of those three would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.